For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel. Welcome into Deep Waters here on ProBox TV. Well, we have two standout fighters going at it, back and forth in one another's faces. Once again, both guys top 5. That's the good news. Jimmy Smith alongside Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri. The bad news is where they're going back and forth is where real men fight on social media. That's right, we're talking about the tweets. Keyshawn Davis, Raymond Murataya going back and forth. And all started with a tweet from Keyshawn Davis on X, formerly known as Twitter, going after Murataya. You a bum. You really lost last night, G. Let's fight this year so I can show you how sorry you really are. That's right. Keyshawn Davis coming out hot. Of course, undefeated. Gentlemen, this is how fights are made now. What do you think of, first off, the comments of Davis, the way he's projecting, he's trying to build a fight on social media that's interesting to the fans. Paulie, objecting or not?
I'm not objecting. You know, good trash talk always hypes things up, man. Right, champ? I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. You got two young guys, and you're in the same stable. The fight that absolutely can be made. You're both all in the same slot as well. You're right there looking for a world title fight. There's another world champion in your promotional sphere. I mean, you're kind of really going neck and neck to figure out who's going to get the fight. Just fight each other. It's like old school.
Yeah, and it's easier to do nowadays. You know, in the old days, right, you get a publicist, you do this, you kind of take certain steps. Now, fighters can do the matchmaking on their own. That's exactly what these guys are doing. Nuts and bolts wise, this is the right time for these guys to fight one another in their careers. Paulie, do you think it's the right kind of trash talk caller?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think they can do the matchmaking on their own, but they can certainly try to create a buzz, a hype, to try to, get the attention of the fan base, the crowd, and of course the fighter, the potential opponent himself. When it comes to these two, I think Murataya actually, kind of down-talked Davis during the promotion, right? Where he said basically Davis.
Well, he said it would be a step down to fight him.
Yeah,
right. Because he's ready for a world title.
When he was talking about Tevin Farmer, right? When he was getting ready for Tevin Farmer. So of course Davis probably saved that one in his back pocket. Like, man, as soon as this guy fights, I'm gonna go right at him. And of course the fact that Murataya didn't look super stellar against Farmer, but got a key win, allowed him to be able to inject his opinion on there on social media and create a little bit of this buzz. I think a lot of positive comes out of being able to trash talk on social media if the fan base is intelligent enough to start to bite on the trash talk and wanting to see the fight. The reason I say he's intelligent enough because you got also guys in the sport like Canelo Alvarez who, when he wants to fight a guy, will fight him, but then when he doesn't want to fight a guy, will use that as an excuse to say that guy disrespected me and I'm not going to fight him, which is about as corny as it gets to me. So it can work both ways, and that's why I say the fighters can't really do the matchmaking on their own, but you can certainly use this potential tool to create buzz and hype and hopefully demand for the fight.
You said the key word, tool. It's a tool because, listen, this is a fight that seems pretty easy to make. Again, same promotional arm, both in the same position, looking fight for a world title. There's a world title in that promotion as well. Top Rank has Baranchyk, who is recently beat Navarrete to become world champion. He's now in that stable. Seems like a lot of the 135-pounders are hungry to fight get that Baranchyk fight. He's the low-hanging fruit of the division. No offense to him, but you got these two young guys. Murataya is 20-0. That's like the prototypical, this is it. I'm ready for a world title. I got my 20 wins. Let's go. Keyshawn Davis has been on a fast track. He's much less fights, less pro experience, but has a ton of amateur experience, a big push behind him, and he wants to cut the line and get this fight first. Makes total sense. I like what Keyshawn's doing here because, by all means, I mean, there probably could have been an idea where Top Rank was like, all right, we want Keyshawn Davis to fight Baranchyk. But Keyshawn maybe got wind that Murataya was going to be up in line. Instead of him arguing and being like, no, I should fight Baranchyk, he goes, no, I'll fight you. I love that. And if he can interject himself using Twitter or X or whatever to get himself into that position, it becomes a tool that he can use to make a fight happen.
And what about this, too? Top Rank playing chess, not checkers.
Top Rank's always playing chess, by the way.
But in this way, maybe this is one of their chess moves as well, is you figure if you make Davis and Murataya right now, Davis probably is favored. I think most people would agree Davis would probably be favored in that fight.
Somewhat, yeah.
Because Murataya seems to have a little bit of trouble with crafty guys. Not to say the result for sure. What I'm saying is based on what we've seen, right? So what if Top Rank is saying, well, we're going to get Murataya the title shot first. That way he's a champion. Then when Davis comes in and beats him, now Murataya is an ex-champion. He still has more of a standard to be upheld by the network to be able to make money. And Davis obviously makes money because he becomes the new champion. Murataya is an ex-champion, also as an ex-champion, you become more eligible for other fights against top fighters. Maybe it's a chess move there too, where okay, we're gonna maybe put Murataya, and this is obviously all assuming Berenchik gets beat, who seems to be the lowest hanging fruit of the champions. No disrespect to Berenchik, because he did have a win over Navarrete.
Big upset, by the way.
Right,
Yeah.
he's upset guys before. But
But
not saying he couldn't do it again.
The way you're looking at it, if the end goal is to get Davis a title, which obviously Top Rank has invested a lot in Davis,
right.
But Murataya is there, and he's your guy. Well, he's not just fodder.
Right.
Okay, maybe we'll get Murataya this shot.
They put a lot of work into Murataya, too.
Meantime, this rivalry brews. They'll continue to talk trash on social media. Maybe Murataya gets a belt, and Davis gets a belt. Maybe Murataya knocks off Davis. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Davis comes up and knocks off Murataya. But at that point, Murataya has been champion. Instead of the other way around, if you get Davis to go over Berenchuk, what if Davis already beats Murataya in his first defense? Murataya's never been champion. He doesn't have as much value. Just thinking outside the box here.
Really
But these guys play chess.
Yeah, they certainly do. But
Keyshawn's messing up that apple cart, by the way. If that was the plan.
Well, Keyshawn wants all the smoke right away, and obviously you don't blame him, but
he's cutting the line.
The way the business is going to work, let's see.
Yeah, well, you talk about checkers and chess. What is the next move? That is the question. And how do you make it when it comes to trash talking on social media when we come back? It's going to be a war. That's right. July 31st, Palmera versus Saracho, Mexico versus Argentina. Two fighters who don't know how to take a backward step. Our main events have been absolutely fantastic. He continues July 31st, ProBox TV. Do not miss it. Now, in studio, we're talking about a different kind of fight, a different kind of main event, which is on social media. Fighters going back and forth, the trash talk necessary to make a fight work. Of course, joined by Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri. Gentlemen, what I love about this, what I love about the statements of Davis is a lot of people agreed. The great trash talk from Keyshawn Davis is there's a hint of truth to it. There's enough for you to go, good point. You mentioned it, Chris. Farmer's a tough guy to look good against. So you can criticize Murataya and go, he didn't look great. He was taking on an opponent, as you said, when we were breaking this fight down. That's a tough guy to look good against. So you can kind of point out the problems and say, it's because this guy's a bum. Not because the opponent's particularly tough. What's your thought on it? Or tricky?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a smart move on Keyshawn Davis. And Murataya is not a trash talker. He could go back at Keyshawn and be like, hey, man, you went the distance with this guy, and, you didn't stop this guy, and this fight got whatever. So, Murataya could come back, but he's not that kind of guy. Murataya is more like, I'm going to keep my talking for in the ring. I believe it was actually his gym that responded to Keyshawn's tweets saying like, yeah, okay, now you're ready? Good, finally, we've been ready kind of thing. So Murataya is not one of those guys who's going to come back and you're going to get a tweet war back and forth. Keyshawn's going to win that battle out straight away. But in terms of the fight, I mean, it's a great fight, great matchup, good timing. We got young guys fighting each other. We talk about this all the time. Everybody's avoiding the young guys, or the young guys don't want to fight each other because nobody wants to risk their Now we got two young guys who are going to fight each other potentially, looking to get a title fight. That way it should be, the way it's always been in the past. So it's funny that we're using new age technology in terms of social media to fight the old kind of way where guys fight each other to get the title fights. It's crazy.
Yeah, Paulie, and does it bring in one of the criticisms about boxing the last decade or so is it's an older fan base, got to get younger fans involved. Is this the best way to do it?
Yeah, I think so. Young guys that people can relate to, that understand how to use social media, that are in tune with the social media generation. Certainly Keyshawn is. Also, when you talk about clash of boxing styles, this is also a clash of cultures as well, because, you got Keyshawn with that trash-talking, hip-hop-ish style, and then Murataya with the, workman-like Mexican-American style, not a big talker, but will beat your butt when you get in the ring with him. So, you've got boxing itself, more than any other sport, I think, brings you that stylistic clashes from a lot of different perspectives, from culture to boxing to
location. Different parts of the country.
Yeah, so I think it's putting a genuine curiosity, because everybody wants to rep their set, so to speak. So everybody's ready to rep their set here in these kind of fights, and us boxing fans get the rewards of getting to hopefully watch them.
Now, Chris, the other side of it, of course, is we look at like Usyk Fury. Guys like Usyk need guys like Fury, who are going to be the carnival barker, who are going to talk a lot and be interesting and different. If you're the hardworking, you just said Mexican-American, hardworking, and Eastern European, not necessarily trash talkers, hardworking guys. This idea of you need that other guy who's going to do the trash talk, who's going to do the heavy lifting, talking much. What's your thought, Chris? As a guy who didn't talk a lot of trash, having a guy who's going to do it for you.
Ali Frazier. I mean, that's the prototype of it, right? You got or Ali Liston even. You got the guy who's the Louisville Lip's going to come out and sell this whole thing. I mean, he wrote the script on how to trash talk. Best trash talker of all time, obviously. Wrote the script on how to do it. There's no social media then, so things are different now. Obviously, technology is making things a lot more available. Also, you got a chance to go viral now. That wasn't a thing 20 years ago. Viral wasn't a thing. But now these guys can go viral, whether it's TikTok or Instagram stories or X.
Was a disease.
Yeah, you didn't want to go viral.
You didn't want to go viral. Yes.
You didn't want to go viral back in the day, especially in the early 90s. But now going viral is a good thing, and it gets a lot of eyes and attention on these guys. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that with a guy like Ryan Garcia. He goes viral every week, basically, with everything that he says. And it actually he actually parlayed it into a ton of money and some big fights.
Some people would say Ryan's a disease.
Right, but exactly that. We're getting into that in a minute. When too far is too far. But this idea that one guy who isn't a great promoter needs that other person. Someone's got to do it. Yes, is that your thought on it, Paulie?
Yeah, well, this is an entertainment business, right? I mean, especially now with all this advent of technology, social media. Obviously, we have TV, pay-per-view numbers, ticket sales, all this stuff. I mean, there's graphics on all this kind of stuff now. So people keep these things in mind, and you realize that you have to try to accomplish the business of the sport as well as the sport itself. And different guys have different strengths. Some guys are able to not lose themselves in the gym and not lose their focus in the gym while also knowing how to promote outside the gym. While other guys like to just put the blinders on and forget about the promotional aspect and just say, you know what, I just want to work hard and win and be a blue-collar kind of fighter. You have your blue-collar approach and you have your Hollywood approach. Both can succeed and get to the top level, but it's just a matter of knowing and understanding what's going to be your strength and what's not.
Does it add an element to you, Chris, as a coach, as someone being around, maybe mentoring young fighters? Hey, talk your trash, promote your fight. Get off that and get to the gym. In a sense of don't let it take over your mentality before that. Have it, but be able to separate it from when you're on social media to when you're in the gym working. It's just business. Don't let it affect you. Is that a bit more of a problem?
I think it's more of a personality trait, just like you said, Champ. The guys who were able to separate it. Once it starts bleeding into your training and taking away from that, or bleeding into your rest time where you're sitting there late at night on your phone and when you're supposed to be taking a nap or you're supposed to be wrestling, or when you get the psychological stress related to tweeting all night and tweeting back and forth and getting angry and getting your heart rate up when you should be resting, and it starts to negatively affect your training. Then it's a problem. That's when it depends on your personality type, your fighting style. Murataya is probably going to have trouble tweeting back and forth all day long instead of going out to the gym and train hard.
It's not who he is.
It's not who he is. He's pushing himself beyond his limits in terms of stress. I'm just using him as an example.
Right.
Possibly he might be great at it. I don't know. But he's the kind of guy, hard worker, blue collar. I'm going to go there. I'm going to kick everybody's ass. And that's how I'm going to get to where I want to be. Now, I don't need to talk my way into it. I'm 20-0. I'm just going to keep fighting, keep working up the ranking, do it the old school way. You got Keyshawn, man, he's fine tweeting. He doesn't care. He's chilling. He's relaxed. He goes and trains really hard. As long as it doesn't affect him, his coaches, I'm sure, are well aware of it from the guys he has around him. Hey, if it works for him, works for him. Different personality types, different fighting styles, different types of people, different ways to get to the same place.
Yeah, not just getting the fight, but selling the fight. Is this the new way to do it? We'll discuss it with social media and fighting right after this. For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel. Two fighters aren't going to be tweeting a whole lot. That's right, they're going to let their fists do the talking. Argentina versus Mexico, July 31st, our main event on ProBox TV once again. Download the app, check it out. Never miss a fight on your boxing source, ProBox TV. Now we're discussing here in studio social media and its effect on boxing and how to hype a fight. One of the criticisms, Champ, you brought it up. You brought up Ali Frazier. One of Frazier's criticisms of Ali is we had guaranteed money. It was already a sellout. You couldn't make the fight any bigger. And Ali kept going after me in a way I thought was very, very personal. He said, because Ali would always say, I'm just hyping the fight. He goes, it's already sold out. It's already the biggest thing going. You can't sell any more seats. It can't get any bigger. And he kept going after me. What's your thought about that criticism? Frazier always said that about Ali.
Well, Frazier, for one, was wrong because the fight could get bigger, and it did get bigger. It's historic, and there's a reason for that, and it's because of what Muhammad Ali did leading up to that fight, the way his personality, how bombastic he was, how larger than life he was. So he was wrong in that sense. And now in terms of it being over the top and being offensive to him, He wasn't wrong in that part, because obviously that's how he feels. You know, that's how it went. He took that one to the grave. I saw interviews of Frazier. He was still not over it. He still hated Ali. So, yeah, listen, when you got a guy talking trash to you, saying things personally, it's going to have an effect. We're fighters. We're emotional. Sometimes we're sensitive, but we get to punch each other in the face. So at the end of the day, as long as that gets to happen, I mean, what's over the top? What's too much? It's a fight.
Yeah, Paul,
Great point, Jam, because you may have hyped up the fight to the max, but you're still branding the rest of your career. You know, there's going to be fights after this fight, and after that fight, and after that fight. So everything you're doing is branding you as an athlete, as a celebrity, as a fighter. So you're making things bigger, but also the bigger you make things, the bigger your reputation, the more curiosity you spark about you, the more there is that sort of bleeds into the next fight, and the next fight as long as you keep winning. Nowadays, you can even be like McGregor and never win, and you can still bleed over.
never fight,
you know?
period.
Yeah, and still bleed over. So it's gotten to that point. But even at that time where I think the standard of society was more to gravitate to winners as opposed to now, I think the standard of society gravitating to winners, you could still, if you were able to win, bleed that over, that branding over into your other fights. And I think Ali did a very good job of that.
Yeah, the culture you're from and the gym you are from and what that breeds, Paulie, how much does that have to do with it? You always talk about the sparring sessions you had and the difficulties there and how tough it was. Now it's like, also when you add the trash talk, you got to be mentally tough too. You got to be able to kind of tune something out or use it as fuel. You got to be tough all the way around, not just physically.
Yeah, and I think a lot of gyms, at least when I was coming up, I'm sure Chris the Champ has his opinions too, but there was, I mean, if you were in urban gyms, there was a trash talk was part of the gym.
While
it
you're
was
sparring.
It was part of the gym culture. There probably was more trash talk in the gyms during sparring when I was coming up than there were even in press conferences, you know? Because in press conferences, the atmosphere is a little more sedated. It has to be built up again, you know, with cameras. While in the gym, there's nothing sedated about the gym. Every day there's a ton of trash, ton of gym wars going on, at least at that time, you know? In the press conference, if it's not built up a certain way, some press conferences just never take off. You know, they become very, very dull.
Most.
You never had that.
Most, I would argue.
You never had that in the gym, man. I mean, the gym, there was nothing sedated about the gym, so it was always ready to rock, and there was always trash talk going on at some point or another. And from inside the ring, outside the ring, it was primal in a lot of ways.
But what was your approach to that when it came to the fight? Did you welcome that kind of interaction with your opponent?
Personally, I thought I was one of the best trash talkers of my generation. I just, you know, I didn't have the promotional
and humble too.
The promotional push behind me, like certain like Adrian Bronner of the world or McGregor, the Conor McGregors of the world, who had a big arm behind them pushing that trash talk. So it gave them the platform to be able to display their trash talk to the fullest. But I thought, you know, in my experience when I had the press conferences with Bronner, who now had a big platform, he was being pushed a lot. It allowed me to also be able to display my trash talk, and I thought we kind of gave tit for tat very well. Looking back, it was actually a lot of fun. You know, it was actually, you know, because you're being tested with your wittiness and your ability to think on the spot and whatnot. And I always felt I had that, but Adrian Bronner gave me the opportunity to actually be able to display that more so than other fights that I had gone through before, where I did trash talk, but it just wasn't on as big of a platform.
Chris, how much of the trash talk, the weigh-ins, the back and forth there, for the fans, not the fighters? Because one of the things that I always tell people who have never fought before, I go, these aren't kids. These are professionals, what they do for a living. The idea that somebody shoved me at the weigh-in so I mentally completely fall apart, oh my God, I got the psychological advantage. I kind of go, these are not children, right? Is it kind of for the fans more than a psychological game between fighters, please, from your experience?
So for that one, I'm going to go with, once again, I'm going to the individual personality of said fighter. So you got certain guys that are going to build a fight up psychologically for, one, the fans, and two, to get a psychological edge. I think Bernard Hopkins, Felix Trinidad, grabbing those flags and throwing them down, that's to get his fan base rapidly into the fight, which worked. Also, it's to get into Tito's head, make Tito angry. It worked. Bernard stayed very cool, boom, calm, collected. He's not a guy that I felt like he needed to shore up the competitiveness. There's other guys like that who think like, all right, like Paulie, for example, you were probably a guy like that. You feel more competitive because there's more pressure on you. You put more pressure on yourself because of the trash talk back and forth. So you are more in your head of like, all right, this is a competitive thing, not necessarily a sales thing where maybe later in your career it was. Me, myself, I wish I got into more trash talking to get the fights that I wanted. I've always been known as the guy who fought everybody because I was the easiest guy to matchmake ever. You fight this guy, okay, cool. I'll fight that guy. I fight everybody. I want to fight everybody. But there were certain fights that I did want. but I didn't really say it because I just managed the job, and then the fights came, and whatever came my way, I fought. So I wish I would have been like, you know what, this guy, and then started the fight, because I can trash talk well too. We've done it on our shows with each other. There's different ways you can utilize it, and I think a lot of it depends on, one, your personality, but two, also your mindset and what part of your career you're in. Are you doing this to sell tickets? Are you doing this to get yourself shored up? So there's a lot of different ways to go about trash talking, and for what reason. And
we will talk about the GOATs of trash talking when we return, including Paulie Malignaggi, when we come back. For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel. That's right, it's going to be a war. Mexico versus Argentina. Saracho versus Palmera, July 31st, ProBox TV. Get the app now. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. Never miss a fight here on ProBox TV. They'll go to war in the ring. We're talking about people who go to war on social media at the press conference. That's right, the greatest trash talkers of all time. Sitting next to one of them right now, Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri. So when you guys think about it all the time, of course, Ali he invented it. He wrote the book on how to do it. He's the easy, low-hanging fruit, #1. But when you think about greatest trash talkers of all time, who springs to mind for you, Paulie?
I think Ali is the standard bearer, not just because, obviously, the big star that he was and became, but also I think he changed the dynamic of trash talking. I don't really, obviously none of us were around at that time, but I don't really see a lot of history of crazy trash talking prior to Ali. But after Ali, it's almost like he sort of drew the line in the sand where there's like a pre-Ali trash talker and a post-Ali trash talker, where after that, people are like, oh man, I like how this guy does it. Also, technology's coming into the fray. So Ali came along just at the right time, giving you this kind of bombastic personality and trash talking. And now this technology can sort of flip it around, whirl it around, and magnetize you even more, multiply that effect even more. So I think afterwards you've seen a lot of trash talking, and there's obviously Adrian Broner, there's guys like Hector Camacho were funny guys, even Mayweather, Tyson Fury, you can go through Vinny Pazienza, I remember, and Hector Camacho, that promotion was funny. Greg Haugen was a funny trash talker as well. Everybody had their own style, but you see more of it post Ali. So for me, the standard bearer is Ali, because he changed the dynamic of the way you handle that.
But when you look at the modern era, let's say, as you say, a line in the sand, there's pre-Ali and post-Ali. Post-Ali, Chris, I got to know, in the modern era to some degree, who's your guy?
To some degree. I feel like in recent years, like with X, I don't know who the real standout guy is. Like, I think of Ryan Garcia as probably the standout guy in terms of, when you're talking about Twitter and X. I just don't think he's that good at it. It's just he says a lot of off-the-wall things, gets himself in trouble, and it turns people off, I think, a lot of the time. But I think in the most modern, you and Adrian Broner was some of the best trash talk back and forth. Both of you are really good at it.
Right.
And the fact that you guys are doing it together, that was around the Twitter sphere. Yeah, that was like, I know that you guys are big tweeters, but
I think there's a trash talker that can do it on X and give a quote. And then when you're on the spot where you can't rehearse, and you might get an answer back that you didn't expect, and you've got to be sharp, And I think there's two different kinds. Like Ryan Garcia is probably a good Twitter trash talker, but put him on the spot. I've never seen him be real witty on the spot to make you say, "Whoa, that was funny." That was
think about Rollies. Rollies is terrible in person.
But Rollies
actually funny on Twitter.
Rollies so bad that he's good.
Yeah, it's so bad it's funny.
Some guy, you ever see a movie that's like that? Remember like that movie Masters of the Universe? That was a big He-Man.
So
fan.
bad.
It was so bad. It was good.
It's good.
I love that movie. What are you talking
so
about?
bad it's good.
Dolph Lundgren. What are you talking about?
Rollies like that too. His trash talk is so bad that it's actually good. Like I actually enjoyed it.
Well, before I throw one out, I got to throw one out myself. Ricardo Mayorga would get you interested in a fight. He had no chance. He had no chance to win, and he'd still want to see it.
Sometimes he'd still win it.
And he'd somehow get it. Hey, Vernon Forrest was injured. Anyway, that's it for us. We love the trash talk. Talk some to us on social media. ProBox TV. We'll see you next time on Deep Waters.
Be nice.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.